So let's get started. Duncan and Jane have sent apologies, so they won't be joining us. Richard, I believe, will be joining us. Firstly is the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes? Can I vote to approve the minutes?
Approve the minutes.
Good, I'll second that. All in favour? Thank you. Right. Good. That takes care of that. We don't have a presentation today. We didn't receive any direct communications, although there was a comment on the lighting on the Cornwall Community Network. So the first agenda item is Gary reporting on your role as treasurer.
Yeah, just a quick synopsis of last year, which ended June 30th. We spent $5,566 of our $6,500 budget. And this year we have the same 6,500, and I'm hoping in this and soon meetings we can try and identify projects that we want to fund for the next 12 months.
Good. Has everyone who's got invoices, did they get them all in on time?
Yes.
You're up to date. Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
Good. All right. Do you want to talk about the future spending now?
No, it's more going to be driven by what projects we come up with as a team, and I think that will behoove us to focus then quickly on what do we want to spend money on.
Fair enough. Well, with that, let's get to the big one, Cornwall Day, which is getting very close. First of all, is there anything any of us can do to help?
Too bad Neil was not on there, but I was texting with him a lot.
Yeah, Neil said he was going to join.
Yeah, maybe he'll pop in. Yeah, Neil has a lot of stories going and a couple posts, and a couple more last minute things are Clark Outdoors having a pop-up that sounds super fun, especially for little kids, a pop-up river tubing. So
that's awesome.
so they're gonna set up, I'm not entirely clear exactly where, but I put them in touch with Ian Ingersoll and Marina, and also Bob at Electric Bike, just so everyone kind of knows there's these things happening. He thinks he's gonna have a tent by across from Ian Ingersoll's, and then you can literally just like ride the rapids under and then walk back. So it's like,
great.
I know, how fun is that? So that's a fun thing, and then
for adults too, maybe?
Yeah,
okay, good.
yeah. I mean, no, it's not meant to be just for kids, but I think
You want to start out with a big splash.
Hey!
well, you can do your electric bike ride for free for an hour, and
That's
then
it.
you can do your river
That's
tubing.
the whole workout.
Yeah. And then something else that was last minute, which is nice, is a teacher, and now I'm forgetting exactly her name, but a teacher from Sharon has a book bus. She calls it the Rover or something. Have you heard of this? Were you on the email? I think I got it.
I saw the email.
Yeah. And she's going to set up this book bus that is like kids can go on and it's donated books and you can take books home. Around the same time that Isley from the library is going to do this little planting thing on for kids on Frank's patio. So there's like two different little activities for kids in the later afternoon, which is nice. So those were two like more recent things that got added, which was great, and everything else I think is, everyone's doing their
Posters
thing.
are up around town.
Yeah,
See all over
yeah,
the place, so that's
yeah.
excellent. So I think we just have to show up. Right?
Yeah, Bianca has a few things going on, of course, and Grumbling Griffins in the morning here.
And farm markets.
Yeah, farm market, so yeah.
And Cornwall Bridge has quite a few things. Camel
Yeah.
Baking. I saw a lot of postings from Neil on Explore Cornwall on Instagram. He's pushing it.
Yeah, yes.
It's gonna be dizzying. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think there's something for everyone. I mean, hikes, bike rides, music, food. There's a book signing at our place in the afternoon at around 2, and then tea at 4 o'clock. There are just a lot of different things that, you can send your kids down the road and be up there doing something else. And I think there's Richard Brown is doing a wine tasting later on, right?
Correct.
I think the weather's
I
also
think
supposed
the promotion has been great, so kudos to everybody.
Yeah.
It's all over social media, the street signs. It feels like even compared just to last year, the visibility and the sort of everywhereness of it is great. So kudos.
Good. No, that's Oscar.
So I have a question, because it's an amazing job you've done there in pulling this together with so many elements.
Thank you.
In the outreach and the marketing, what has been done outside of the usual suspects of the Cornwall itself?
So I sent it to Ruth Epstein at the Waterbury Republican, to Rural Intelligence, which is affiliated, or is under Chronogram Media.
You know, the
Litchfield,
CT.
the Visit CT, Litchfield Hills magazine online. They have a calendar, and then Arts Council calendar. I think that's about it right now. What exists out there where you can promote your things, and I do hope that Ruth does something, because really, like as I've always said, Waterbury Republican, when there's something in there, and I also sent it to the Lakeville Journal to Riley Klein.
Mm-hmm.
But Waterbury Republican has always, I mean, it just sort of like, pricks their people in the butt, and they actually get up and go and visit the venue, the event. I mean, 12 Days of Christmas, I think, was exemplary in that respect, because so many people came through that the first year through that event. So.
This is great to hear that there's much being promoted outside of the physical Cornwall. Assuming we do this next year, is there a way we as a commission can reach out and set up a marketing team with people besides ourselves who are very savvy in marketing events? Because this could really be an economic driver to the town, getting people to show up, spend money, see things.
I mean, Bianca's so great with so many years of experience, obviously, with her shop. I don't know all of those things that she knew, so relying on her for that has been great, because Neil and I were more in the local promotion. But I think it's a good point that we could just, I mean, in my opinion, we're just going to keep building on this, right? And we started small, a little bit bigger this year, more people know about it. We could, I mean, especially things like the river pop-up, the free bike rides and wine tasting, like there's so many things that if collectively we really could get people from Kent to Goshen and, all other towns.
Another online thing, someone who had reached out to me, I forget her name, but I posted it there too, or she then took all the information and posted it.
And even with this teacher in Sharon who has this book bus, like she reached out to us and she said, if you're having an event, I'd love to come with my bus. So, if there's, but I absolutely agree. We could sort of have more of a marketing strategy earlier on, and not focus just on the local Los Bianca's efforts.
Well, what's really terrific is we had the rummage sale last week, which brought in a huge number of people into the market and also to the general rummage. Now we've got Cornwall Day coming up, and then we've got the Taste of Cornwall coming up in 2 weeks. So we've actually got a pretty good calendar of events coming up. And one thing we might think about next year is trying to advertise them together. Just make people think you need to get to Cornwall on Saturdays.
And a couple of weeks before that was the July Fest.
Yeah.
Right. I can't remember when that was.
But it's quite an active quite an active program of events. You've got the library sale coming up. You've got
the library had its event in June.
Yep.
I mean, there are a tremendous amount of them.
There's a lot going on.
Sometimes too much almost.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to keep abreast of it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's why it's happening. The more we do in Cornwall Bridge, the more we do in West Cornwall with our businesses that can actually be impacted by the foot traffic, which is why it's great to do stuff in the village here. But people, they're here and then they leave. right? Or they drive out, but it's nice to be able to go to do the pop-up and then go get a drink with Frank.
Yeah.
Or in Cornwall Bridge, and go buy beer. Go to Wish
Or
House.
have a tasting.
Or have a tasting. So I think that it's important that we always think the events that we do, how can we, how can they affect the economic impact right away, in real time?
You know, buy a candle, hopefully shortly.
Buy a candle.
chocolate.
Right. So,
I think though that any way you bring people to town, whether it be the ski area or the rummage sale, either one in the commercial centers,
right.
brings outside people to town, and some number of them stop somewhere on their way in or their way out. And that's, you're not going to take some of these big events, that's where they are.
Right.
They're designed to be in locations that are outside the commercial area, but that's not that. I mean, there's just ways to get more people in town,
Right.
and or more traffic. Somehow creating traffic. We were talking about Lime Rock. I mean, Lime Rock creates traffic.
Yeah, but sometimes a little bit too fast, the traffic.
But the one thing we are missing is a cafe or somewhere to get lunch.
Yeah, well, we're missing it.
Which hopefully is coming.
Right. Does anyone know, sidebar, I don't know if we're in this, because we put the Cornwall Market on the list, just hoping he would be open, but maybe he's not ready to be open yet.
He won't be open.
You won't be able to.
No,
Won't be
okay.
open
I
Saturday.
have no idea, I don't know if he has it.
Do you have any thoughts, Gordon, on when the market is now likely to reopen? I'm sure it's a moving target.
I believe the word is September.
Got it. Oof, it's a long haul for that guy.
Yeah. Can't wait.
But they're closing in. There are people working there every day. Wow.
Sorry.
Because I'm just shocked if I get a lunch at Mountainside. The place is absolutely, people are hanging from the rafters.
Yeah.
It's the same with the Villager down in Kent. So
Yeah.
there's a huge need.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, all these things are going to build so we can have a really active program again next year. It'll be the third year of Cornwall Day, and that gets better and better. So I think that's terrific.
Well, in the larger sense, and Richard, you said something poignant, that if we are, as the EDC, spreading the word more consistently, more actively, I would hope that people see Cornwall differently, people that live outside of Cornwall. And my dream someday is someone comes into the package store, buys something, and on their way out, Richard overhears them saying, wow, isn't it amazing? This town has so much going on. Why don't we live here?
Quite.
That,
That is
yeah,
the
dream big.
ultimate goal. Yeah.
I think it's more likely that what I hear is somebody asking, where do I find some food? Where do I find, I hear you're going for a hike. Well, I can give you a bunch of places to do that. You kind of evaluate them as to how much hiking they're talking about. Or just suggest things. Go see the falls, Kent Falls, Great Falls, go see the Covered Bridge, or whatever. This give them more activities to do. I haven't heard somebody.
That's why I went way on the other extreme, but certainly, there's so much.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I take that back. People have sort of mentioned it's beautiful, and maybe I suggest a realtor or two to them. But that, you're right. I take that back. I have pulled out. Here's a couple of phone call, real estate agents, and you look up their phone number, you find somebody. Maybe they're going to rent a place, or you end up in Sharon or some surrounding town.
My experience has been that people have been looking for apartments, more so than wanting to rent an entire house. Single women, single men. I mean, that is something that I get, I would say at least every other week, one person who is looking.
Airbnb type of thing?
No, to live, because they work somewhere here in this area and they need a place to live. Yes, people do want to live here, but again, it's often not in the cards because everything is way over price, and a lot of the smaller places that could potentially be that are Airbnbs. because it's easier for the people who own those properties to just rent them out on a basis like that.
Well, what I was alluding to is, as our mandate is economic development, and there are events going on, some of which we're promoting. Cornwall Day is our child, reinvented. If there's an opportunity for the EDC to lead and help with marketing the town on a larger scale, bringing us together where there are plans in advance and a way to execute them so that the information is getting out there and people start seeing it more and more often. That was where I was getting at, where someone would come in at Richard's store or the Wish House and say, why do we live here? Not that they would live here, but just the idea there's enough going on from hiking, from the river, from the community perspective that we have been, we're marketing it.
Well, we've got Neil.
Yeah. I mean, the anchor, I guess I'll just say that without, it is a negative comment, but I'll just say it anyway, any town also needs these anchor businesses. We do have some very important anchor businesses, and we have others, like the garden center, although the bakery seems to be hanging on there, so that's a good thing. And Three Guys, as we all know, is struggling, and there might be some reinvention. I've heard of Three Guys, sort of one of the smaller, more on the technical side of what he does, which is, I guess, his passion. So, it's really complicated to be a business owner, I recognize, in a tiny town like this, because you do need other people to come and, stop. Maybe they live further north, but they're going to stop and buy their bottle of wine from Richard or whatever. Sometimes I think that's more of what, would be nice to figure out how to support those things, because it's a destination. You don't necessarily have to live here, but, I spend some money in Millerton, and I spend some money in Kent sometimes, and you know what I mean? Like, you have other reasons to go to other towns. And
certainly one of, alluding back to what you were saying, one of a key economic development component is housing, or lack thereof.
Right.
And that has been attempting to be addressed by a number of organizations in town, P&Z, the Selectmen, Housing Corp. I mean, there are people that are looking at that, but it is a true thing that if you don't have a place to live, you may not be working around here because you can't find a place to live and you end up somewhere else. Some of the people that we may find, we have people asking, are living somewhere. They're either trying to find a better place or a bigger place, a smaller place, or a more affordable place, any number of those things. We do have a couple of, we've talked about some of these things before. Certainly some of the anchor things that do exist in town, is the ski area, is the lumber yard. Those are two big things that really don't exist in a lot of places. They are unique entities and bring people to town. I mean, there's some others. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Ingersoll. That's a little different in how they are. These other two places are day in and day out bringing, I'll say, hundreds of people to town. They're two of the anchors. Certainly the market would be one if it was, when it opens, that'll help on a regular basis. But I think it's an interesting thing that housing as an economic development, economic driver is underappreciated, to have some kind of affordable housing that, or I'm not sure what affordable means, just,
yeah. The entryway into home ownership in this area is more difficult than other places.
yes.
Maybe we could have somebody from the affordable housing.
Or even just rental.
Right.
Well, there's just
Right.
yeah,
Maybe we could-
it's out there.
Maybe we could help them. I mean, I think we all know in general what affordable housing does, but, I know they have some very specific fundraising goals, and maybe having a guest at our meeting will help us learn how to help them.
All right. Well, that seems to be in great shape. And then business roundtable is chugging along.
I mean, it is. But I think we need more, we did, you know, we sort of kicked it off with this Cornwall Day stuff, so, and maybe we can have a post-Cornwall Day business roundtable to talk about next year and how to improve things. Duncan isn't here, but he did the sustainability. Bianca and I were at that one. You know, I think we maybe need some other ideas to keep that going. But I think there is some interest in keeping it going from the business owners too.
Or perhaps just another one of these real get-togethers as we had initially, where we get a lot of people together, just to update them on what we're doing and what is happening, just so that they can, again, voice their opinion and, you know, have a few snacks, a little wine. I think like a little, like, yeah, a seasonal party.
I'm curious,
you know,
from the business roundtables, has anything come out as 1 or 2 or 3 goals that they collectively would like to see done that we could help with?
It hasn't been, I think we need to continue them to get to that. It was very focused on Cornwall Day.
Okay.
So we had 3 that were all focused on Cornwall Days, starting in February, whatever that first one was. So I think we need to get broader, but there obviously was so much work in coordination with Cornwall Day. It was good that we had them. But I think we can get back to that and have a more broader agenda like that. Yeah.
I think the interesting part would be really to working on the sustainable CT. I'm just not the type of person who even can wrap her head around the concepts of these sort of reward programs, I would call them. That's just, it's like a foreign language to me. I think I was so happy to see that Duncan Webb is taking that on, because he has so much more experience in that field that it's something that he can understand better. So it's too bad he's not here, because I feel like I can't even talk about it. I mean, I understand the system, because basically what I've been doing all along in my work, supporting local businesses, collaborating with local entities and sourcing things locally, is basically that. But you can also build so much more on that and get actually, you know, financial support through this program, Sustainable CT, from the state, basically. And it's just, for me, very hard to explain how that is. So I wish I was a financial person. I'm just not. I'm an artist, or honest. So.
Well, what do you think we can do to help the 3 guys? Yeah, there's a fair amount of brain power, excluding myself around this table. How can we help?
I have chatted with him, maybe some of you have chatted
Yeah,
with
me too,
my
but I've
husband.
never gotten that. You know, I have popped in there so often and have tried to figure out where he's at, because from my experience, looking at a business like his, chock full of really expensive clothing, it takes such a long time for people to get a hang of what you carry, have repeat clientele, that to have that from the get-go, how do you navigate that? Because that's such an overhead that is just killing you in the end. And I, you know, from what I gather, that is in fact somewhere the case. But when I've talked with him, I've never really gotten that feeling. You know, he was always very light-hearted.
I think I caught up with him.
Yeah. So.
Plus his partner's leaving kind of big.
And he had a bad season last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wish to be careful not to get too specific as well,
Right.
in the public, but
Yeah.
you know, it just seems to me that there's a lot of, you know, between us all, we ought to be able to think of 1 or 2 sensible things to say to them.
Well, and I don't know, and you're right, we, you know, I don't know all the details, nor can we talk about details in the public meeting that are not our own details, but in general, and I've talked about this more with friends, but I love, and this is sort of what's, not sort of, this is literally what the Cornwall Bridge, what Megan had, Cornwall Bridge Garden, you know, she had a shared space, like, it was more, there's actually, was 3 businesses there, now there's 2 businesses there. So that just comes to my mind, whether it's 3 guys or, you know, another location. It's just, I think, such a good idea to combine things, both for the business risk of the business owner and for the small town and the customers who come in and benefit from more than one thing happening. So that's what I was wondering, how we can help 3 guys. So without getting too specific, I was wondering if we could find a way to bring something else in there that's not him, you know, that he doesn't have to carry all the burden of.
Well, and that would
But
work
I
out.
And
that would work out, as we know. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
always the case, you know. You
Right.
have to be very specific.
What's the synergy like? I mean, I know it's electric bikes, you rent them, right, you can buy them, and there's a bike shop where you can buy other bikes. Do we know do people who go to the electric bikes then walk up to 3 guys to see real bikes or vice versa?
Don't think.
Because that to me is an interesting thing, right? You
There
have
should be a synergy.
Yeah.
There should be synergy with 2 bike stores
Oh,
that people who like biking.
Right,
So that to me would be, an electric bike store is working.
yes. right.
So
He's doing
it's
great.
almost like that may be a place to start. Think about if 3 guys was open to it, an electric bike, is there a way that they could, or he could, you know, help out in a way?
I mean,
know
I
what that
think
means,
there's
but-
such different, I think Bob only has electric bikes.
Right,
Literally doesn't
that's
have
right.
anything that's not electric, right? So it's such a different business in that way, which is a good thing that they're not
Yeah,
directly competing with each
Yeah.
other, but I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
it's a
It could
different
be,
clientele.
yeah,
Yeah.
They're 2 different.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I've done the electric bike and I own a bike,
yeah,
you know, so
Right.
I don't know. I think there's definitely different clientele, but there's got to be some crossover.
yeah,
People are coming to Cornwall to rent the electric bike and go on an incredible ride.
right.
And there's this outdoor shop where you can buy stuff to wear on your electric bike ride.
Right,
T-shirts and
exactly.
hats. and so-
It takes forever, really. I mean, from my own experience, until people figure out what you do and what you carry.
Right.
You know, and it takes years,
Right.
you know. People wake up and go, oh, you have that. I didn't know. You know, I mean, after, 26 years, I still hear that. I just,
Frustrating.
yeah, it is.
But it would be nice to understand like what, not just what might complement some of these businesses that struggle, or, you know, what are possibilities in that space? Like, can there be coffee in that space? I hate to say probably not, right? But can be coffee? I don't know.
Why not?
I thought there was
Limited
this.
parking, that's the biggest
No
one.
parking. I thought there was some issue about, maybe Gordon's still there, about food service versus, you know, retail and that.
Oh, I
space,
see what
but
you
I
mean.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So maybe some of us on a smaller subcommittee could sort
Right, I
of,
think there were actually examples of floral stores. I think up in Canaan there is a place
what, that has coffee on
that,
it.
that also does food as well. But I think, you know, you have to just go by the books and
Right,
have all everything checked off and
right,
then you can.
right.
He has that little mini fridge.
Right, so it used to be a store,
that had-
right?
Well, he had a little mini fridge you give
Oh,
kombucha tea,
Right,
but I
right,
don't think he could sell
right, right, you
So
can give
maybe-
it away.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
he gave it away. So
so I don't know what
I
the,
think we're discussing something we don't know enough
Right,
about.
yeah.
And Mike is facing the challenges that we're not privy to.
Right,
So whatever our discussions are really moot until someone asks him,
I
does he
guess
want
the
help?
question is, what actually is the issue?
Well, but
that's
exactly,
him.
the point I'm really trying to stimulate is that we should get out and have some, talk to him.
right,
Just a phone
His
call.
idea is spot on.
yeah,
Is there anything we can help with? If he asks, if he says yes, then it's an open discussion.
mhm,
But you know, until then, this is just, you know, ideas.
right. I just think it would be nice if, that as an EDC, if we sort of had ideas of businesses that we think might be viable in certain places,
But
but, you
the
know,
only
sort of
one
more
of
of a
us-
brainstorm thing.
The only one of us at this table that I'm aware of is Richard, who has an understanding of what local business, and Bianca,
Right,
my apology, you know, really know what running a local business. I certainly do not
No, and I don't either, just if we could support
Well, the one thing
some
I would say is
ideas,
that
so
part of
that's
this
all.
could just be retail burnout.
Right.
That Michael is experiencing, he's been doing it, whatever, 3-4 years
And by
now.
himself.
And it's
That's
like,
all.
you know, I want to go home one day. I'd like to have 3 days off.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're saying if I don't have 3 days off, the shop's closed, nothing's
Right,
happening.
right.
So it's just the plain old retail burnout that, you know.
You know what that feels like.
Right, you know what that feels like. You know, and if you have an employee or help and they can't show up for whatever
Right,
reason,
right.
you know, you're on call for
Yeah.
that. So,
no, very difficult,
you know,
very
it
difficult.
may be, I don't want to say as simple as that,
Mhm.
but sometimes, you know, that's not a simple issue by any means, it's a big issue. But then you roll it into some other things, it's
Well, okay, well, let's, some subgroup and talk to them, find out. Gordon, you vanished from my screen.
Hello?
Hi, you're hiding.
Hello, hello, hello.
You're up.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, interesting things going on. Let's see, building the infrastructure out. Casey Cook, my fiber optic advisor, called up and said that some fiber hookups may be supposed to be operational in Cornwall, so again, that's a big achievement. So that's coming along nicely. Another thing you may not, that I've been working on with the help of an intern, is getting electric vehicle charging stations at Frank, and I've been working with Will Shank at the New Market and Cornwall Bridge, trying to get a charging station in both West Cornwall Bridge. I think that, again, would be a huge economic driver. And again, putting those places on the maps for people that are traveling, that would be huge. So we have been working with a person that can package things together for business owners. And yeah, and it's interesting, probably different charging types in different places. The market, you're looking at fairly quick charge, you want to get booming out of there. Both places, of course, have limited parking, but the thought is that people in West Cornwall may have a little more time on their hands than people in Cornwall Bridge, so they may be able to do a lower level charger, which means less expensive. So I mean, both would require, and the good thing about Sullivan is he's picking up some grant opportunities and some ways of doing it so the homeowner does not have to take a hit to their electric bill, and they can basically charge the users of the system. So that's, hopefully get something in line by the end of the year. And Will's upgrade electrical service too. The store fits right into that. So that could be big. Also infrastructure, we did see word with the West Cornwall's wastewater project passed the environmental review. So we hope to get that this week. And then the selectmen, I think, have a public hearing on the review. And then it's going to start, the engineer can start the design work. So again, I've been in touch with Eric Keats, who owns the property at the three guys who are in the back is the likely site, and again, working with him on trying to use that project to make buildings more usable in, as former owner said, the east end of West Cornwall. So, so that's good to get that going to go along with thought. Again, working with Will, trying to get through some of the roadblocks to get his store going. Potential news that there's a person looking at the Pink House for potential market in West Cornwall. So that again would be a big thing to get.
I'm sorry, a market or marketing?
A market, like a general market. Yeah, so anyway, I don't want to, until it happens, it's whatever, but again, it could be a very exciting thing. The person's very committed to the idea. So that could be a huge economic thing to happen for them. Now it will be 24 hours, but have a 7-day-a-week business there. So again, a lot of, when that and the marketing Cornwall Bridge happen, there's going to be a lot of work. All these businesses are fragile, and they can certainly use assistance and promotion, and they're going to need customers from outside of Cornwall. So there's going to be, that idea of marketing the town as a destination for people outside of here. But the people are stepping up and willing to invest serious time and money in trying to make these things work. So now it looks like things are coming together on all that. As far as housing goes, we do have a housing task force, and they're active. They meet once a month, and they have a bunch of proposals on how to kick things in housing into a higher gear. One thing this commission should know is that P&Z is also taking action to make it easier to build smaller houses, and one thing they're doing is they have, I think, 3 items that they're looking to make accessory apartments easier to construct in town. And to me, that gets at the heart of being able to have rentals or, mother-in-law apartments or whatever, is making it easier for people to have an accessory dwelling unit on their place. And so they're going to make that. So there's a hearing coming up, I believe in August, so hopefully we can we'll see about that. But I would hope, again, because that's so pivotal to the economy here, as far as trying to have places for workers, customers, whatever. We need more people here. So anyway, there's a lot of pieces that our people are working on, and it's hard to keep track of it all. But I think, in my mind, that P&Z area would be good to keep track of that and have people show up, because again, their regulations determine a lot of what happens here, and change is some kind of incremental, but it's very important. So I think that's a taste of what's happening. Yes, Dan?
I was wondering, so like accessory apartments, would they also then be part of what would be counted into affordable housing as mandated by the state?
No.
How could that be changed? Because I think that would be really important in order to give people more of an incentive to create these more affordable spaces. Because during COVID, so many people just jacked up their rents to make it almost impossible for, there would be spaces that would be more affordable if they hadn't taken the opportunity of COVID to go a little bit out of scale. Maybe that's just a thought to maybe work with state representatives on a change there in some way. So
yeah, we talked about, even the parcel program houses aren't counted as affordable housing, which is ridiculous, but the state is pretty immovable on what they feel is affordable housing.
Yeah.
And we're fed, there's only so many hours of the day. We have pretty good relations with them, but then pretty much unless you do this, you're not that. So, and our feeling was with the parcel program that it constrained people from actually, it's very hard to own your own space and have it counted as affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
And we need multiple types of housing here, not just state certified stamp thing. So anyway, whatever we're doing, we're trying to hit all things. And again, ultimately what it's the next step is going to be whether it's going to be allowed for multifamily housing now, which is currently heavily restricted. So they're going to push that button and see what happens. But there's no apartments, there's no rent, very few rentals, and there's plenty of people that we could use and would like to be here in those things. But it takes a while. But again, knowing that P&Z is proposing a couple of things that the subcommittee came up with a couple of simple recommendations. It doesn't require any funding. It just requires, I think that it's all part of their town plan. plan, but hopefully we'll push a few things, forward to make it easier for people to do that if they want to do it. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on, I think, positive direction, but I think, again, the need for the committee to support people that are venturing out there is important.
Then I had another thought, like for EV charging stations, would it be possible to do something even with the, because you're going to rearrange the parking around the wastewater treatment facility to maybe have something there as well?
It may be, but that's going to be,
For the east
I mean,
end.
there's already a conduit at Frank's,
Uh-huh.
and that's ready to go, whereas,
Right.
it's entirely possible to do something, I would think, at the, Free Guys, but that's probably, construction's probably 2 years away from that.
Mhm.
So they would, when that's part of the plan to reconfigure, make the parking better, safer, more accessible for them. Yeah, is a ways out. And that's what, so the thought is to get, to get it where people are already parking at this point. Not that there can't be others. So that's it, and I've got to go on with another obligation, but a lot of stuff
Well, thank you.
going on, I think.
A lot of positive stuff. Appreciate it.
A lot of very positive stuff. I mean, it's hard to see three guys not stay. But again, I think the weather's playing havoc on a lot of things. And it shows a need for, constant, steady promotion of the town as a place to do business, a place to come and see these unique things. The fact that Bob has spread out his business into 2 other areas, when people thought he was crazy initially, and now obviously, but he still stays here. This is his home.
About 3 other places now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that there are people that are constantly testing the waters and seeing what's available. So
Good news.
anyway, thanks again, Mayor, for pulling all this formal day together.
No, you're
That'll be a
welcome.
lot of fun.
Thank you.
We should also push Rose's all grants on hardship, and that brings another whole group of people
Yeah.
for Pacific.
That's true. We doesn't have that on our list.
Yeah, we should definitely push that, 'cause I know there's a lady from Woodstock, New York that comes over for that, comes to our vegetables stand every year. Go figure. All right, see ya.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. Thank you.
When is Rose organized? Middle of August, right?
Second weekend?
Second weekend of August, and then we've got the art show, the art sale at the library, which is the last weekend of August. There is just a ton of stuff.
Yeah, summer's
I
busy,
mean,
right?
we should speak to Neil
Yeah.
about somehow trying to get just a box with these 5 events coming out.
Right, and then, I run a lot of different events too, aside from that, so, actually this year, along with the Rose Orchestra, because Magali no longer lives in town, but has always been someone who sold very well there, we're going to do an exhibit with her in our little space, just to give her the opportunity to be still included in Cornwall, though she's living outside of Cornwall again, because there is no space to live for people who are an artist. You can't afford a whole lot. You can't, a studio would be lovely, for someone like that. And it doesn't exist. It's just, housing is really this tricky.
Well, these developments at DMZ, some lost over 30, those almost.
Yeah. That would be lovely.
Good. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? Anything from members of the public? In fact, we wish your need to get better fast.
Yes.
All right, let's adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favour? Aye. It's now 18 and 8:17.
Bye, Oscar.
Hi, Oscar.
That's it then, right?
Yeah.
It is. Good night.